right, here we go. It is Wednesday evening. It's time for Weather Geeks. A busy Wednesday evening. We've got a lot to keep track of over the next couple of days, including the threat for some light freezing rain and some fairly minor impacts for tonight. But before we get to that, let's reminisce a little bit. This is a storm a lot of people remember. This was 10 years ago on the 5th and 6th and even into parts of the 7th day of February. Back in 2010, our valley was walloped with a whole bunch of snow. Now, an average of 8 to 18 inches fell over the course of 2 days, but the highest totals were in our southern viewing area with this. So places such as East Liverpool had quite a bit more snow than a place such as Kinsman, for example. Here's a look at the regional snow totals from that early February storm 10 years ago. This was given the moniker Snowmageddon along the East Coast, especially around the nation's capital. I mean, this was an enormous storm for D.C. and Baltimore as well. There were some places that had up to 30 inches, and even some mountainous areas that got 30-plus inches in south central PA, parts of the panhandle of Maryland, West Virginia, and even into northern Virginia as well. Pittsburgh had about 20 inches. And again, places like East Liverpool, Salineville, East Palestine, Newcastle, double-digit snow totals were very, very common. And then we got a few more inches a few days later. Our snow depth was pretty amazing, and we ended up with 3 feet of snow officially at the Youngstown Warren Airport in February of 2010. Seems like we don't see a lot of that around here these days. We will again someday, but our recent winters, of course, have not been all that snowy compared to the winters we had earlier this century, around 2009 to 2011. We had a stretch of really snowy times back then, about 10 years ago. All right, back here in the here and now, in the present. Liquid precipitation tracking our way, and of course temperatures will be of great interest this evening. We are starting to see a glaze of ice around the Dayton, Ohio area. This is impactful snow around Fort Wayne, heading up towards Toledo and into Lima as well. Now, the atmosphere will not be conducive to snow around here. Maybe initially when the precipitation first starts this evening, there might be some snowflakes, but for the most part, a warm layer of air above our heads is going to make sure that it's going to ensure that things are going to be primarily liquid. And so winter weather advisories are out for our television viewing area and points east, west, and north, but not to the south. Again, expecting largely rain, just a chilly rain for places such as New Philly and Carrollton and down towards Wheeling, Steubenville, and into Pittsburgh as well. Even in parts of Columbiana County, this may not be much more than just a chilly rain tonight. Temperatures may have a hard time dropping below freezing in areas around and south of Route 30. Temperatures at this hour at some airports in Ohio: 34 Cincinnati, 36 Columbus, but we've hit 32 as of 6:35 at the Youngstown Warren Airport, and local temperatures will be right around that 30 to 32 degree mark throughout the evening and, in fact, throughout the night. There's also a severe weather aspect of this storm, not for us, but tornado watches are out for parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, southern Tennessee as well. There's been a handful of tornado warnings, and that severe threat will shift east tomorrow. A pretty big-ticket severe weather day, especially by February standards, should unfold tomorrow from Charlotte through Columbia, Augusta, heading down towards Savannah, Georgia, and maybe Tallahassee, Florida. This is a pretty big deal, especially, again, considering how early in the season it is. All right, back here at home, here's a look at our ODOT road sensor temperatures for major roads throughout the area as of the 6 o'clock hour, all safely above freezing. These road temperatures, in addition to our air temperatures, will fall a little bit this evening. And certainly the less traveled roads will be a little bit colder than the surface temperatures on very heavily traveled thoroughfares such as interstates and state highways. But nonetheless, as this precipitation pushes in, I'm expecting this to be freezing rain when it comes in later on this evening. Now, again, at the very start, there may be a few snowflakes, but primarily this is going to be a freezing rain event. But this is not going to be a freezing rain event in which temperatures are in the mid-20s and you can get a real fast accumulation and things ice up almost instantly. It's not that situation. It's a marginal temperature situation. Precipitation will be steadiest late this evening, say between 9 p.m. and midnight. I think what you'll notice as we head through the overnight, not only will temperatures start to creep up, especially south of 224, but the precipitation is going to become much lighter, spottier late tonight. By 3, 4, 5 in the morning, it's not doing a whole lot out there. Maybe some patches of drizzle, and I think at this point, temperatures, up here maybe still around, say 31 in parts of Trumbull and Mercer. but we're probably 34, 35 even, down towards Salineville, east of Liverpool, Elk Run, Lisbon, maybe even as far north as Salem and Columbiana. So not expecting a lot of impacts as far as Thursday morning's commute. That's what we've been telling you about for the last couple of days. School adjustments probably aren't all that likely Thursday morning. Trouble getting to work Thursday morning. I really don't see a lot of issues out there unless you are a very early morning commuter. Ice accretion, not expected to be a big deal. This is not going to stick to a lot of power lines and tree limbs and cause some power outage problems, because I think those ice accretion numbers are going to be generally under 1/10 of an inch. That's in the no trouble zone. Usually our troubles begin once we get north of 1/10 of an inch and even a little more than 2/10 of an inch. That's when you start noticing a heightened awareness of the potential for power problems and that sort of thing. So not expecting that. All right, our Thursday is looking cloudy. Occasionally there's going to be some rain showers around. Now, if your travel's on Thursday, take you on the Turnpike or maybe 422 up towards Cleveland or across 76 towards Akron, there may be some patches of mixed precipitation, very light, but it's a little more likely to be something other than just plain rain. The farther north and west you go tomorrow. For most of our area, it's just a chilly rain shower that's going to pass through from time to time. I have highs near 40 in our forecast for tomorrow afternoon. Maybe a little mixed precipitation here and there tomorrow evening as the colder air starts wrapping in on the backside of this low pressure system, but not expecting real big impacts from that. The bigger impacts likely to be actually from snow coming our way very late tomorrow night and heading into the day on Friday, as this low pressure system kind of hits the brakes and we get air cold enough both down here in the low levels and throughout the air column above our heads. It'll just be snow on Friday. And while this is not going to be all the snow in the world, it can still be impactful on some roadways during very late Thursday night and throughout the day Friday. Things will then settle down for the weekend. This is what we have for our snow forecast. Most likely accumulation 1 inch or 2. I can't totally rule out a few spots maybe getting 2.5 or 3, but I think 1 inch or 2 will about do it. It's not all the snow in the world, but still we'll have to watch for some patchy slick spots on Friday. Again, things settle down for the upcoming weekend. Seasonably cold on Saturday and a little bit milder on Sunday. All right, once a month at the beginning of the month, right around the 5th day of the month, we get a special set of long-range modeling from the European Center, which looks at the entire month, going out several months actually. We can look at these all the way through August if we want, but you got to take these with a big grain of salt once you're beyond the first month. This set of modeling did really well globally and throughout North America with January's forecast. So today's release of this model is very much of interest for the month of February. This is the overall upper level pattern for February. It's advertising. If you're looking for cold, this doesn't look real favorable. Now, this big ridge south of Alaska, that would be favorable for cold. You then get downstream a trough coming into the U.S., but the ridge centered over the southeastern U.S. is going to provide lots and lots of resistance for that cold as it tries to come east. If it weren't for this thing, then this would be very favorable and we'd probably have a pretty cold month. But the high pressure ridge off the east coast will prevent the heart of the cold from ever setting up shop across areas east of the Mississippi. So deep winter cold in the Rockies, northern plains, but doesn't seem like that's very likely at all around here. So here's a look at the temperature regime. February will very likely come out in the wash as yet another warmer than average month. We're going to make it 3 for 3 in meteorological winter. We're going to run the table. December, January, and February all warmer than average. You may have seen my tweet earlier on today. It's quite possible that winter of 2019-2020 will be the second warmest on record. We're probably not going to beat the winter of 31-32, but this winter we might very well secure the number 2 spot, whereas temperatures in February will remain very cold out west. As I've been talking about, there can be a fair amount of precipitation in February, and because of the marginal temperature situation, a lot of these are not going to be pure snowstorms by any stretch. A lot of this is going to be rain or some sort of a mix, but above average precipitation does seem pretty likely during February and the final month of meteorological winter. And what a winter it has been. It has not been as I expected it to be. At the end of winter, I'll do kind of a post-mortem and talk a little bit more about why winter shaped up to be quite a surprise and a lot of busted winter forecasts out there this year. All right, look for more updates this evening on social media and on the Storm Tracker 21 app as our precipitation moves in. Of course, on the TV side, have a full update coming up in a few hours on 21 News at 11 p.m.